Hey, it's Jack. No K, Jack in the attic. Do I look tired? I feel tired. Let's talk about yarn. I'm trying to position myself so there's no... Someone made me aware of the fact that the glare on my glasses is distracting, and now I'm feeling self-conscious about it. I need everyone to know these are my real prescription glasses, so taking them off is not gonna happen. Holding my head completely still for an entire video is also not gonna happen, and that's the window. That glare, that's the window. So I don't really know what I'm supposed to do about that, so what I'm gonna do about that is nothing. Anyway, I should have started it off on a nicer note. I have a lot of things going on, and by things, I mean shawls, shawlettes, and kerchiefs. Anything vaguely triangle shaped is on my needles as we speak. So first of all, I have exactly one finished object, and it was a birthday gift for my sister, like we talked about a couple videos ago. It has already been gifted, so I took a quick little clip that I'll put in here. Hey, it's me. I'm popping in for a second. I don't know when I'm gonna film the rest of this video, but here's the thing that's leaving my hands today, so I need to show it to you now. It is the cropped mesh cardigan I made for my sister, whose birthday is today. Of course, it's got a huge cat hair sticking out of it. I lint rolled this thing like 4 times. Let's try that again. Oh, another one. Okay, so I'm gonna lint roll it a 5th time before I leave. And I am running late. I would show it to you on, but I'm wearing mesh, and mesh over mesh. I don't know if it's gonna show up very well. I'm dressed up because I'm going to the Oddities Expo. I doubt it's super visible with all the layers, but here it is. I'm really pleased with it. I think it came out really well. I want one for myself. I'm thinking about making a tutorial for this because it is based on a free pattern and it is wildly different than the original pattern. I think that is in the realm of totally okay to do a free tutorial on, yeah. So let me know if that's something you're interested in. Now I'm gonna gift wrap this and back to the rest of the video. So yeah, I think that went over well. I'm very happy with it. I think I said in the clip, this was days ago, so who knows. I think I said in the clip that I'm thinking about doing a video tutorial for that. I've obviously never done a video tutorial other than like little tiny technique, like 30-second videos to explain like very specific things to friends who were learning. So I've never done a full tutorial video of anything. But I do want to do that because, I mean, this is my most iconic piece. I know a lot of you crochet, so if that is something you would be interested in, let me know. I know I link the original pattern all the time, but if you want more detailed instructions on how I altered it, I will do that. So a quick update on the Luna Moth shawl because I have been getting so much done on this shawl. I'm officially on skein 3 of 4 of the main color yarn. Ooh, it's falling apart a little bit. This is Knit Picks Hawthorne DK in the color Blackbird? Raven? It's a bird, some type of bird. And the Cloud Fluff from Hawaii Bazaar. I'm a mess, wow. And let me lint roll this before I show it to you because the cat sits on my lap while I work on it, trying to hold it up in a way that makes sense. This is the top of the shawl. Here's the first eyelet section. There we go, the first eyelet section. I am just a few rows away from doing the second eyelet section, and then there's like just a little bit left in the pattern after that. So I'm really pleased with how this is turning out. I feel like I can't hold it for some reason. It just keeps falling out of my hands. I feel like this section looks a lot lighter. No, I don't know. That might just be the lighting. I did actually check dye lots this time. I've learned my lesson over and over and over and over. Anyway, so this is the section I'm working on right now, just this big section of the caterpillar stitch. I think it's so cute. I will say the Hawthorne DK from Knit Picks feels a little bit crunchy. I fully believe that will wash out because that's happened to me with other yarns in the past. Not specifically from Knit Picks. I've just had other superwash merino that feels a little crunchy and then washes out to be super soft. Like my brioche bandana that is made with superwash merino that felt a little bit crunchy in the skein and then washed to be super soft. So not super concerned about that. Just something I have noticed. I will obviously update you on that when I have washed and blocked this, but just my assumption that everything's going to be fine. So the test period for this shawl runs until March 31st, so I feel like I'm making really good time. I'm officially under 50 rows left. I've been counting down the rows left just to kind of keep myself motivated. And last week it was in the 90s, so feeling good about it. Good amount of progress. So that has been my like nighttime project. I did the math at one point and figured out if I knit 2 rows every night, I would still finish within like the first week of March. And I have done way more than 2 rows per night, so should be good. From the same designer of this shawl, we have the Dracula yarn from the Gothic Literature Mystery Yarn Club. That's a lot of words. I feel like it looks so much darker and like deeper in real life, and it gets kind of washed out on camera. But this like rusty color I love so much, and this kind of like, it is gray, but it's leaning grayish. It just looks so cool. So I started knitting a shawlette with this. One of the free patterns from Audrey Borrego. Every pattern from Audrey Borrego is now free. If you've been on Ravelry for the last couple of weeks, the, what is it called? Hot Right Now has been a ton of Audrey Borrego patterns because they were recently all made free, which is super nice. I immediately favorited like 6 of them. I did immediately go look at her Instagram to see what was up, and it was just a situation of not wanting to run it as a business anymore, but wanting to make sure the patterns were still available so they could kind of live on. Anyway, thank you for the free patterns. This is the Riala Shawlette wrap little shawl thing. I initially started knitting it with just this yarn plain, and then I realized I had a bunch of this alpaca blaze from Hobbii. It's like, it's an alpaca and synthetic blend, but it's pretty soft. It's pretty nice. I've had it for a while. I wondered, what if I held these double, did a little swatch, and I was sold immediately and had to start all the way over, and I have no regrets because look at how cool this is. Yeah, and it's so soft, and adding the extra strand makes it a little more squishy. It feels so nice, and I feel like it looks so cool, and it's gonna go with all of my outfits. Stoked. Wish I had a little bit more to show you on this, but again, I started it over like 2 days ago. This is one of my fixed cord circular needles that has been bundled up in a pouch for a while, so it's just kind of flopping everywhere. Sorry about that. So yeah, we're currently in a horrible cold time. It's 0 degrees Fahrenheit, literally 0 degrees Fahrenheit today. But next week, it's like a complete turnaround. It's going to be highs in the upper 50s, again, Fahrenheit. Like 60 and overcast is my favorite weather of all time. So I'm ready for that in theory. But when the weather changes so dramatically over and over and over, it really like wreaks havoc on my sinuses. So while I am excited for that, I'm also not excited for that at all. I was thinking about that in the context of knitting all of these cold weather pieces. The cold will come back, it's only mid-February. And I know that like getting out of the mindset of instant gratification is very hard, but I'm really trying to think of these pieces, these like handmade pieces that I spend hours and hours and several dollars on will last for years to come, and I don't need to use it immediately. If I knit a sweater in the middle of summer, it's still going to be there for me in the winter because I took the time and the care and the proper materials and all of that to make it so. It's going to be fine in my closet until it's time to wear it again. Oh, speaking of that, I didn't even bring my Hylia dress in here because I have made so little progress on it. I did bring it with me to the Oddities Expo in a bag so that I could knit on it while I was waiting in line. But this year, I haven't talked about this, but last year the lines were awful. It was packed, it was sweaty, it was like impossible to move around. The line took forever. I was prepared for that. And then this year I was in line for like 90 seconds. It was not a big deal at all. So whoever fixed all of that, thank you. Genuinely, thank you. It was so much better this year. So the Hylia dress, no updates. I'm realizing I should be treating this video as if I have a bunch of new subscribers because I do. I'll go get it, I'll show you. Okay, I can't just be talking about everything as if everyone knows. That's not how YouTube works. If you are one of my new subscribers, if you're here from Goth Knitting Part 2, welcome. I'm thrilled to have you here. My casual sit down like knit and chat or project update videos are always a little bit like this. Definitely less structured, a little bit chaotic, with some just personal things thrown in. I'm just chatting really. And then it's the other like more intentional, more structured videos that I put more time and effort into, and that's why there aren't nearly as many of them. Because if you are new, you may not know that this is, straight up, just a little hobby. It is so not a big deal. I am just having fun on the internet. So the Hylia dress has been one of my goal pieces for months. I saw the finished piece from Stitchcraft, whose channel I love. She was one of the testers for this pattern, so that's how I found out about it. Basically, the shape, construction, and silhouette of this dress is sort of exactly what I like to wear. It's like a Hinterland dress. It's like a Pine & Smith dress, but it is knit. So I have finished only the bodice, minus the button placket, minus... Okay, so it's supposed to be sleeveless. I'm still thinking about adding sleeves, but the arm size is so deep that I don't know if that's gonna work out. That's a whole thing. We've talked about that. We'll come back to it at a different video because I don't have any answers for that right now. So I have the bodice. I'm working on the skirt. The skirt is going to be miles and miles and miles of stockinette, so this is not getting done anytime soon. It's nice to have a piece that's just plain stockinette to work on whenever. It's solid black, so I can't see it anyway. So this I can just knit on without looking, and I will probably be doing that for most of the rest of this video. I have a couple more things to show you. So back to the shawls and kerchiefs and things like that. I made a choice. I opened the Joann app and I made a choice, and that choice ended up being 10 pounds of yarn, which I did not realize until I saw the tracking information. The idea was pride flag, little kerchiefs to give to my friends and then to hand out probably at like a pride event. So I have months to finish this, which is great because have I mentioned it was 10 pounds of yarn? I have made some errors and I have made like a fun, cool decision simultaneously. It's all of that. We all know I have mixed feelings about acrylic yarn. I'm not going to get into it in this video, but basically, I haven't woven the ends in on this, but this is the idea. Just little triangle kerchiefs to be able to hand out. So this was actually the 4th one that I finished. I've already given away a couple of them and I'm working on another one. I have saved several free bandana, shawlette, kerchief patterns just so that I can try out a bunch of different ones and have some variety. But it is not just this Big Twist Living yarn that I got. I also got some like solid colors so that I can make solid striped pieces. I already made one with the Agender colors, but that has also been given away already. So that's another big long-term project that is also small little bite-sized projects that I can work on whenever. So for me personally, that's great. That's what I prefer, is having a big project and then a little project. Technically I do have a big project, like a medium project, another medium project, and then 10 pounds of little projects. And then I also have my spinning, and then I've also been sewing a little bit, tiny bit. I don't have anything to show you of the sewing at the moment. I have like a concept of a new pair of lounge pants because my favorite pair had a little hole from cat claws turned into a big hole from cat claws, and now I just need a new pair. They're beyond saving. They're a pair of like Target pajama pants I've had for years and they were just never gonna last that long. So lounge pants, easy. It's like the 2nd or 3rd project you do in home ec, if they still have home ec, I don't know. It's certainly called something else now. If you have teenagers, or if you are a teenager, are they teaching you sewing basics in school? Because I don't know, I'm just curious. I am sort of obviously of the opinion that everyone should know a little bit of sewing skills, and like it's cool and good and necessary to know how to replace a button or like do a little tiny bit of basic hand sewing. I think it's great for everyone to know that. I think if you have an opportunity to pick up that skill and you haven't yet, I really highly recommend it. Which reminds me, I actually want to talk a little bit about the library and how incredible the library is as a resource for crafters. I'm super into Libby. I use Libby on a daily basis. If you do not know, Libby is a free app that connects to your library card so that you can access ebooks, audiobooks, magazines, all sorts of things for free via an app that is again connected to your local library through your library card. I don't know how I've never thought about this before, but I realized there are knitting books. There are all sorts of craft and DIY books with patterns available on Libby. I did have to wait a couple of weeks to get my hands on this particular one, but I currently have checked out Sock Yarn One Skein Wonders by Judith Durant. I'm still sort of looking through this, but it has 101 patterns that are all one skein fingering weight, specifically for like those special skeins that you buy just one of and then don't know what to do with. So I'm finding this very valuable, very useful to me. There are also magazines. The magazines you don't have to do any sort of wait time to check out. They're just available for free all the time. and there's no like time limit. You don't have to read it within a certain amount of time and return it. They're basically just there all the time. And there are a ton of knitting magazines available, I have found out, and they contain a ton of free patterns. So that's all just available for free on an app, accessible at any time. Also, this is going to vary library to library, obviously, but my library apparently has open sewing time. They have several sewing machines and a serger. They have a big room full of sewing machines and sewing equipment that you can just sign up to use for free. I am signed up to attend open sewing time soon. If the roads are decent, I will be there. We also have a knitting class. There are actually a bunch of different craft classes. There's like open knit time where you can just come and knit with other people and chat. Like, there are way more resources for crafters at the library than I thought. And if you haven't, if you're not already on this, because there's like a really good chance that everyone already knew this and I'm just behind. But if that's not the case, I highly recommend checking out your local library. You can even look on their website to see if they have a calendar of classes and open whatever hours for using those resources. I feel like it's so much more than just physical books that sometimes I forget about the actual physical books. I've been on ebooks, specifically free ebooks, for years now, and I do buy physical copies of books, like, occasionally, but I would not be reading nearly as much as I do now if I had to purchase every book that I read. I read 69 books last year. Nice. If I had to purchase 69 books, I simply wouldn't. So that is my library tangent. I think overall, for a ton of different people, for a ton of different reasons, libraries are a super valuable resource, and I love and respect librarians and all library staff. Back to yarn. I'm still on a spinning kick. I'm still doing my little 10 to 15 minutes before bed every night spin. Except for sometimes I get started plying something and I don't know how to pause that on a drop spindle. So when I start playing something, I cannot stop. So sometimes it's a little bit more than 10 to 15 minutes. Sometimes I'm up an hour past my bedtime on accident. So the most recent thing I've finished, do you remember the green and black 2-ply yarn that I showed you? Because this is just the green chain plied. I don't know why I stopped after 39 grams and just made this little guy. I'm still very much experimenting and learning and just doing little trials with the fiber I have to see what I like doing, what I am capable of doing. So this is just a little guy. It's chain plied. I've never chain plied anything before. I don't think I did a great job. It looked so beautiful and even and like perfect on the drop spindle. And I think one of my issues is I'm not adding enough twist when I'm plying. And I think I might be able to just go back and add more twist now. That's obviously not ideal, but I feel like it couldn't hurt. So yeah, experiments on experiments over here, but this is my most recent finished spin. Finished. I still have a lot more of this fiber left. Again, I'm just trying stuff. I don't know what this is going to end up being, but I think it's cute. That's the colorway Cloverfield from Divine Dye Works on Etsy. Because this is merino, and I found out after after the fact that spinning Merino is not the best thing for beginners because it's a little bit slippery, I purchased some amount of BFL, and I'll just show you. I've been keeping my drop spindle and whatever fiber I'm actively using in my Nosferatu sarcophagus popcorn tin. Anyway, I purchased from Friends and Fiber. Yes, Friends and Fiber. I got 4 ounces of BFL. I have already split this into 3, so this is not, it didn't come looking like this. It came as a beautiful braid. But the colors are gorgeous. I bought this just because I thought the colors were interesting and I knew BFL would be a good thing to experiment with and learn more about spinning. But then I ended up liking the colors a lot more than I even expected to. They're much like deeper in person than they were on my phone screen. So yeah, the colors are a little moodier. There's a little bit of black mixed in. I think it's perfect. I'm obsessed. Why I bought like a hand-dyed comb top braid for practice, I'm not positive, but I don't regret it because this is gorgeous. And it's actually turning out pretty well. So ignore this, it's still very much attached to a wad of fiber, but here is my spin so far. I'm trying to get the light so you can actually see it. But yeah, turns out BFL stands for Big Friendly Lady, because that is how I feel about spinning this yarn. I feel like BFL is my friend and BFL is just helping me out because the spin is going so smoothly and it is so pleasant and I'm kind of having the best time. I have been doing morning and evening spinning with this because I'm having such a good time. I still have sort of the issue of if I spin for more than 10 or 15 minutes, I kind of lose it and my consistency goes out the door. But if I split it up into little chunks throughout the day, then it goes as well as it could. Yeah, I did go ahead and split this into 3. I am considering trying my first fractal yarn. I watched a very helpful tutorial from Wool to Gold, whose YouTube channel I love. I've been watching a lot of Wool to Gold recently. If you are a new spinner, I would absolutely recommend his channel, even if you're not, even if you have no interest in spinning. I think his videos are just fun and like nice to listen to and watch. So that's all I'm working on at the moment, and by that I mean I'm working on so many things at the moment. Also, at the aforementioned Oddities Expo, I saw so much good crochet, like just on attendees. I saw a really good cardigan, I saw a really cool bag, I saw several hats. I'm seeing crochet out and about in the wild, and it makes me so happy. And it makes me wonder, how often am I passing hand knit pieces and not knowing? Because with crochet, you know, like that's handmade for sure. With knit, sometimes it flies under the radar. I dropped a stitch, don't worry about me. I said in my Q&A video that fiber arts, or maybe I said crafting in general, but that fiber arts are for everyone, but they are absolutely for the weirdos. I stand by that. And I think I'm only being proven more and more correct the more I go out into the world against my will. But yeah, there are cool people out there doing cool things. That's my point. Oh, and I actually didn't really buy anything at the Oddities Expo. I just go for the vibes. I have been collecting oddities and stuff. I collected antique medical tools and antique embalming tools and bones and stuff and teeth for years and years. I started as a teenager, probably like 15, 16. So I'm stocked up. I have as many oddities as I could possibly fit in my room. I do not go shopping for oddities, I go for the vibes. I did buy this ring though. I have like my usual stack. These, I have to say, just because I have a point here, these are two plain silver, like nothing on them, backup stitch markers is what they are. This is my right hand. I keep two backup stitch markers on me at all times. And honestly, this one would work too. This pinky ring, it has a little bit of a design, but it's not enough to like catch on the yarn or anything. So I'm just thinking ahead, you know? The other thing I bought, and I say this only because I get sort of a lot of questions about lip products, and so I may as well shout out a small company while I have the opportunity. The company is Beezerts, I think. I should have asked because the people who run it were right there in front of me and I didn't think to ask, how do I pronounce this? I think it's Beezerts. I got the Intense Moisture Lip Color. I think the color is Wolfsbane and it rules. I put it on and then blotted it off because it's super glossy and I knew I was going to be drinking coffee. And I really like how that looks, but it's so wildly pigmented for what I thought was a lip gloss. Lip color is sort of vague as a product description, but it's so correct because it's not quite a gloss, it's not quite a lipstick. I'm just super impressed with it. So I also have issues with like lip products breaking me out like along the borders of my lips, and I haven't had that with this. Oh, and every single eyeshadow I own, every single eyeshadow I purchase is always, 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 always from Haunting Hues Cosmetics, formerly Tater Rounds Beauty. So that's just a fun fact for the people who made it this far in the video. This has actually gone on way longer than most of these types of videos, so I'm gonna cut it off here. But thank you for hanging out. Hopefully I was able to keep you company while you work on your own projects. As we know, that is always the goal. Has my hair been like this whole time? Anyway, it is always my intention to just sort of hang out with you while you craft. I did get a couple of good ideas for future videos in the comments of Goth Knitting 2. One of the ones that I'm really thinking about doing pretty soon is more masculine patterns, like a video of just more masculine or unisex patterns that I like. It's really just patterns that I like. So I am interested in that topic, and I think I might do that. So as always, let me know what you're working on. I genuinely do look up the pattern names, and then my favorites list is getting out of control. But don't stop, I still want to know. Let me know if you use your library for specific crafty reasons. I want to know what else is out there for sure. And other than that, take care of your joints, check out your local library, go and live your best yarny life, and I will see you next time. Bye. I can't see anything. Do you even care? How? You're embarrassing yourself. You look like a fool. No one told you to climb up here. Yeah, I didn't need that arm. That's fine.